Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is Tier 2 and we welcome you to the Principality, the historic, the legendary streets of Monte Carlo for the crown jewel of F1 and one of the Triple Crown events of motorsport. This circuit always produces not necessarily the greatest side-by-side racing, but one of the greatest strategic battles and ultimately a great sense of defence as you go through the race, and hopefully we'll have clear weather so everyone can have a good chance of staying out of those wars. My name is JPH. I'll be taking you all the way through the action, and joining me as per normal in Tier 2 is ARL. Good evening, ARL. How are you?
Yeah, hello, good evening to you yourself, Jordan. And yeah, what a place to be. Streets of Monaco. And a full grid tonight, so couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 20 cars around Monte Carlo. It's going to be. I don't like to say. I say I don't like to used to say the word. It's going to be chaos. Quite frankly, it's Monaco with 10 people is crazy enough, but with 20, it's going to make things very very interesting, especially in qualifying, when you're trying to make sure you don't have any traffic on your lap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Qualifying now, of course, we're back to that usual format with the 18-minute qualifying and the 50% race after that. So at least the drivers, they've got 18 minutes to sort themselves out, get in the right pocket of gaps. But when you have 20 drivers on the track, it's tough to know who on the lap behind you, if they're on a push lap or a fast out lap. It really is difficult. And of course, surrounded by all these walls, it's difficult to tell.
Yeah, yeah, it can be very difficult. I mean, the only thing you can do is make sure you've got your track map sort of on that full display, and sort of note if you've got a car maybe just being a bit quicker behind you, and even if they're on an outlap, sometimes just letting them go is a better course of action than trying to guess what they're up to. It does look like a dry qualifying though, so that's a good start. Good evening to Iron and Paul Racetech. See, Paul Racetech had a good result yesterday. It's good to see him around the streets of Monaco, but hopefully we'll get someone with a weather forecast for the race as well. We'll have what I like to call my weather minion. Let us know what we're going to be expecting. So I can see a Red Bull already making its way out of the pits. Another Red Bull is a Mercedes. Picked out the wrong garage.
Yeah, no, Merck going for that track position is so important here, but the Mercedes duo of Julian Amanu and Iron are definitely going to want to make a great result this weekend following their amazing performance in Imola, and they obviously leading the championship 1 and 2 for the Merck duo.
Yeah, speaking of said standings, let's have a little look through the latest standings for Tier 2. As you already say, Errol, Joliana Manu is leading the way on 39 points after a second place at Imola. Obviously, last week was the sprint as well. Iron has 38, Hulkenberger 30, the Wolf 27, J. Ray Bay 25, Barrett 22, DXT Matthews now reserved 20, Clips Kiri 15, Matty Rudd 13, Sir Spud rounds out the top 10 on 11. In terms of constructors, Mercedes do lead the way on 77, Alpine on 55, Aston Martin on 38, McLaren 29, Sauber 29 as well. The remaining teams less than that, 6th to 10th. So it's all still very tight, very much still to play for, but Errol, would you like to take us on a lap of Monte Carlo since you drove it fresh yesterday?
Yeah, of course, riding on board with Iron here to start the very first lap of the session. DRS enabled, one of the most useless DRSs into Saint Devote. Try and cut as much of that curb as you can, get a good exit up the hill, through Rivage, and coming up through into Massenet and the casino. Try and hook it up. There's somewhat of a double apex through there because you've got that wall coming up you. Then try and avoid that bump on the left, but Iron stays on it, but the car handling fine through there. Coming into the hotel section, one of the slowest corners on the entire calendar in Formula 1, and he gets that hooked up nicely, coming into the Portier and then into the tunnel, gets a fairly decent exit. ERS now through the tunnel and now comes into a very important breaking point, the Nouvelle chicane. How close do you take it to that barrier? He takes it very close on the first run, but has to somewhat hesitates on that exit. But now coming through to back, nicely done there from the Mercedes driver into the swimming pool section. Again, another corner where you have to test that confidence of yours and how close you run it to the barriers. Coming through Raskas as well. Again, traction important. Then through the final two corners, hesitating a bit on the power there on the very early stages of qualifying, but he comes through to the line and starts the first run. Finishes the first run, and it's a 1:12.2 for Iron.
Yeah, not too bad. I can't really recall that the hairpin, the hotel section. Always going to be loads hairpin to a lot of people, I think. Julian Amanu coming up to the line. He put himself second. The Wolf currently on provisional pole with an 11.3. If I remember correctly, yesterday's pole time was in the 109s. It was an unbelievable set of times as Anthony Hunt goes into fifth. O'Stephen in sixth. And we have an Alpine of Hulkenberger to the line. He puts that into fifth. Madman in the Haas, seventh for him, a 1:14.6 for the Haas man. Who else have we got? Jack just starting a lap. Ira coming through, and then a host of, I think, of the Red Bull family cars. As Ira puts himself fourth, which is quite a good time. I mean, he's been sort of mid-pack as Ira, so that's a welcome time up into the top five as eclipses him into fourth.
Yeah, no, like you said, good first lap, but as well, you know, this is a track that a little bit of margin through maybe the earlier stages. You know, you want to get that banker lap in. Maybe some drivers keeping it more safe than others, but no, to definitely get into the top five on the first stages of this qualifying is a good point for Ira.
And just a note, JMB Surreal, you may have seen him as a reserve last week. He is this time a full seat driver now for the Red Bull team, so hopefully he can help Coke get the team out of a deficit of points at the moment. They're on -3, which isn't really the ideal situation, and probably a first in all of motorsport. But yeah, he's there to try and help him out. And we also have the return of IRC Bruce, which is good to see him back racing in IRL once again.
He's definitely not picked the easiest of tracks to return to, but he'll definitely test how much pace he's got around here. But now I want to go back to the Wolf. The Wolf back in Imola somewhat had a bit of a drop off in quali, and we saw him make amends in the race, really climbing up. So him back in P1, he's not too far back in this championship fight. Of course, we've seen him won a race already, so he's in good place to still keep this championship battle alive with the two Mercedes.
Yeah, as we saw yesterday, anything can happen around Monaco. I mean, we saw Owen yesterday in qualifying. It was on an absolute stonker of a lap, and then clipped the front left corner on the Nouvelle chicane. Darrell put himself into 9th, and that was session over, and he was starting near the back of the grid.
Yeah, no, it's just a track where the walls come at you. As bizarre as it might sound, it really just comes at you left, right and centre here. As that was a Sauber sliding into turn 1. I think that was O'Stephen on the lap. He puts himself into P15. But yeah, no, like I said, the final lap is going to need an absolute amount of confidence and pure precision to gain as much time as you can. But no, O'Stephen does have damage on that front wing, so clearly hitting a bit of the wall. As Julian and Manu, is that? Or no, that's Coke. Coke goes to P3 in the Red Bull.
And that's on older tyres as well. That's 3 lap old soft tyres now he's had to use. I mean, we have seen in the past, Coke does have pace. It's just that sort of patience area where he struggles, and in the race he just makes a few mistakes. The car almost always looking a little bit on the twitchy side, which just in qualifying is okay, because as long as you just need to put one lap together, but in the race, when in this particular instance you've got to put 39 of them together, it's not always the easiest thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But when we're on the track like this, track position is so key, and it's so difficult to overtake unless you have a massive performance offset. So if he's got enough, control in that Red Bull this weekend here, he could still keep these positions nicely. But he's got to do 39 clean laps for sure.
Jack is going to go again on I don't know if he is on a lap or he's just starting a lap for Jack. He is on a lap, 6th quickest for the Williams, 111.7, not too far off the pace of the Wolf. We have Anthony Hunt coming to the line. I don't know if he's just starting. I think he is. Ira just coming to start a lap for himself. Iron on a lap, but he is slightly down after 2 sectors.
Yeah, no, lost time in sector 1, but also keep an eye out on the other Alpine of
Word,
Hulkenberg.
that's a launch off the curb from Iron through Anthony Nose. It's not
Yeah,
really a curve you want to attack.
That unsettles, and if you take it in the wrong way, you are a passenger. But no, Hulkenberg set the fastest sector 1 of the session so far, so keep an eye out for him, as he also does the same thing there. Hulkenberg really throwing the car around, but can he just keep it clean as we got yellow flag? I think that's
Juliana Manu.
Oh.
At the Nouvelle chicane, and I'm going to guess, I haven't got him on the screen, but I'm going to guess he done what Owen done yesterday, as Hulkenberg goes 11th. I think he's clipped the inside barrier at the Nouvelle chicane.
He has exactly what you said. He has right on board with Ira, as Ira that himself goes off, but no, yeah, inside, it's such an easy thing to do, but it's caught Juliana Manu out, but he's just going to have to hope that the track does not ramp up too much and he can stay as close as he can to the front.
Not ideal then for the Mercedes team. Iron down in 9th. Juliana Manu will start no higher than 2nd. But every chance as the track develops and evolves, as Iron comes into the pits now, that people will go faster. Line of Griesby on his first lap around the streets of Monaco. He's also got the RB of Clips just behind. Line of Griesby doesn't really attack anyone. He goes 17th quickest. Clips currently in 5th. We have Maman coming through to finish a lap. I think Hulkenberg coming around to start one. I mean, this is kind of the chaos really of Monaco for a commentator. We're just trying to work out who's who on a track map and who's on a lap.
Yeah, no, 20 dots on the track map, 10 of them all the same to their teammate, of course, but yeah, no, Hulkenberg though is a man on a charge, and noticeably, I think Hulkenberg is using the same set that he used for his first time lap. So around Monaco, of course, the track is one of the shortest here and the quickest lap, so you are able to do more runs with these set of softs before they, lose their main prime life, as we're seeing currently with Hulkenberg. The question is, how much time can he still find in that Alpine, despite the older tyres? He goes a little bit over the curve there at the Nouvelle chicane, but
and Lina Griesby attacks the Anthony Nose barrier on the exit and losing a piece of his M fence. Lucky not to lose more as Mikey comes through. Sorry, I just caught that on the stream. Mikey comes up. He's going to stay 18th after not setting his first time. Yeah, that was a little bit interesting, that from Lina Griesby. A few people were seeing it, just trying to attack Anthony Nose a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, fortune favours the bold, so you've got to go for it to find out. But no, Hulkenberg does not improve on his lap time. You can see the back end starting to complain. The tyre's completely gone now, and he'll have to come in and stick a new set of boots on. But surprisingly, coming out of Casino, a few drivers have not taken. Of course, you have that little bump on the left where you have to try and avoid, but quite a few drivers tonight are not really trying to avoid that. So either they think going straight is a better option than going around it if the car can handle it, but yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I used to do actually, is just take the bump, because ultimately if you can take it straight, you take meters out of the lap, and as we all know, the less meters you do, the quicker your time should technically be. So it's not, and even though in real life you avoid that curve, I mean, this is ultimately a game.
Well, you're not wrong on that one, but I think, a little bit of potential impeding is an Alpine off. That is okay. No, that's not. That's just Hulkenberg getting out of the way. I wish we could have this setting where cars letting other cars through would not trigger yellow flags, but that's the game, I guess. But now we're coming into the stage where a lot of drivers are in the pit lane, and they're just going to be preparing for that final run, minimizing the fuel loads, and just trying to see where they can gain as much lap time. As I think someone else who is currently on that lap is Daryl in P11 for the Haas, as he comes through and now out of the tunnel section, and seems to brake fairly early there. I think that might actually be just an in lap actually there for the Haas.
We'll find out as he comes through to back. Yeah, 2.6 down, so it is either he's coming in or he's done like a second sort of warm-up as he instead comes into the pits rather than goes for another run. Anthony Hunt though is finishing a timed run. He comes to the line. What can he produce? A 1:13.5 for now. 1:12.7 puts him up ahead of O'Stephen. A good time from him. Obviously, first time in IRL for Anthony Hunt. Looking to do as good a job as he possibly can.
I think we have a V-Cup stuck out of Casino. We do.
It's Bruce.
So Bruce has lost it. Clearly must have been rear end completely going as he exited the corner. But so worrying there because drivers coming out of the corners. Oh, there's a car behind. I think that's Madman, and I think Madman's lap is going to have to go here. And Coke goes fastest. While we were seeing that, Coke puts provisional port a 10.7. So he's really taken everything to the wolf here. What a lap.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Coke. Yeah, showing that he does have good pace. But again, as we said before, it is only on one lap.
Yeah, as well, it's how you deal with as well, because you will have the tyre degradation through the face as Darryl retires. I think that's an in-pit retirement, if I'm not mistaken. But no, yeah, he's going to have to do 39 laps of it, so we'll see how his race pace fares. But who else is on the lap? I think now we're starting to see majority of the drivers now come out for that final run. Ira's not on the lap, that's for sure. He's 6.2 seconds down, so I think this is where we see now drivers come into the pits and some come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Is okay, I think he'll be coming back into the pit lane to finish this set of runs.
So DJ Madman is doing another lap now. He did get impeded by the V-carb, so he's going to have to try and do what he can. It might have ruined his plan actually, because if he wanted to come in at the end of this lap, maybe he'd have enough time to set softs on, but no, I don't think he does. But Madman has to do it now and here as he comes through into the tunnel, and he'll come straight back out, coming up to the Nouvelle chicane. How late do you brake? How close to the barrier? And he does give it quite a good enough gap there, so playing it more safe, unless that car is fueled up so he can do more laps, so just testing the boundaries of what he can do. But anyway, he comes into the pool section now, goes quite close to the barrier into the final set of corners at Raskas. He does have a Williams in front, but that shouldn't impede. Get on the power, get as much traction as you can, burn the ERS to whatever you've got left, and he will improve to P15.
Yeah, 13.6 from Madman. I did see we had J. Ray Bay on a lap, although after 2 sectors, apparently he's down by 0.1. Again, how true that is, I do know the game likes to lie to us, especially with faster sectors. So he clips the inside wall on the run up to the line, just goes slightly quicker, and 4th place for now. Yeah, I don't think he'll quite get another run out of this though. He'll be very tight on time. I'll have to make sure he gets a move on, trying to save that battery. As I think Hulkenberg coming to the line, starting his latest attempt. Who have we actually got on a lap? Ira not really doing
Jack
anything.
Is on the lap at the moment. He's around 2/10 up, whether that's true or not, but so far he is, and he actually loses time though in the second sector. So it's going to have to be made up all through these final few corners. He's got a few cars ahead of him. Those should be starting laps, so they get out of the way. Through into the final corner, rear end sliding a little bit now. DRS enabled, full ERS, flat to the floor. And he does improve to P5, a 1:11.5 for Jack.
So a good lap there from Jack. We've got a Madman coming to the line to start another flyer. So he obviously had enough fuel. I think that might be... Is that Clips on the way up to the line? No, it's not. It's a Red Bull, possibly of JMB or Coke. Don't know which one. A Ferrari coming up to the line. That's Lion Greasby, but he's not going to continue. Bruce has unfortunately been unable to get to the line in time to set a lap time. He will start at the back of this grid, as will Sir Spud Timeless, which is not ideal, as I think that's a late charge from iRun up into the top 4 with a 111.4.
Yeah, Clips Cleary, next man to somewhat cross the line. He's got a Ferrari in front and he dives into pit. He invalidates. Who's that? Is that Mikey, I believe, coming to the line? Can he improve? He doesn't. He stays in P17. Who else is on the lap? Madman, though, he's 2/10 up. But we have O'Steven as well coming to the line before he goes to P11. Puts Darryl down to 12. A 12-2 for O'Steven.
Madman coming into the pits. He's broken the front wing there. And I think that's everyone. I think Coke, is he? He's coming into the pits. So, but it doesn't matter because he will take pole position here for the Monaco Grand Prix by nearly 0.3 of a second to Berra. But the critical thing now is getting off that start line and getting into Saint-Devote in the lead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be the most important start, arguably, of the season to keep that track position into turn 1. But you got to keep it clean, and as the game likes to say, no heroics into Saint-Devote. But that is the qualifying for the Tier 2 Monaco Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and we're going to have the pole sitter of Coke with Berra alongside the Wolf and iRun row 2, row 3 Juliana Manu and Jack TM53 Synopsis. Row 4, J. Ray Bay, Clips Curie. Row 5, Ira and Matty Rudd. Row 6, O'Steven, Darryl. Row 7, Anthony Hunt and Holkenberger. Row 8, Madman, J&B Surreal. Row 9, Mikey and Lion Agreesby. The Ferrari lock out that row. And Sir Spud and Bruce. Round out our grid with no time on the 10th and final row.
So now this is where the dynamic completely shifts. And, if you think one lap of Monaco is difficult, now you've got 39 to do. Plus a formation lap, but I think the drivers won't mind that lap. But most importantly, track conditions seem dry for the start, Jordan. So whether we'll get any weatherman coming in to the comments and letting us know if it will change, it is a dry start for sure.
Absolutely. Good evening to Juliana Manu, saying that that incident at the New Vulture King could be costly. Even to Big C, Sir Spud and Mikey. Mikey, I think, had a spin which we didn't quite catch, which is a big shame. We always like catching the director going for a spin. Yeah, I mean, Sir Spud is in the chat. A weather minion available potentially there. It's going to be interesting. I mean, if this turns out to be a mixed weather race, I don't think it will be. I think it's probably going to be dry all the way through. But if it is a mixed weather, that just adds another dynamic. But the other thing we haven't yet touched on here at Monaco, and it's something that obviously everyone sort of remembered yesterday, this is a mandatory 2-stop race.
Yeah, no, 100%. So obviously following this year, it's changed from a 1 to a 2-stopper. I believe that 2-stopper still gets scrapped if, of course, we are in rain conditions. But obviously we know the start is dry, so it somewhat focuses on now, not losing time on pit stops, because the undercut, I wouldn't say is necessarily too powerful here. However, though, if you are getting holed up and you are needing to come in, maybe that earlier stop can get you just enough time on the board. And bear in mind, you will have to make 2 stops, so they can be very crucial, these pit stop and the timings. But sometimes staying out to lap extra does actually help if you are much quicker than the driver ahead of you. So definitely we're most likely to see 2 sets of mediums and a hard, unless any driver tries a soft. We did see it was a fairly, I think, same strategy last night with the medium runners all at the start.
Yeah, I think everyone started on a medium, but however, we did have a few people that went hard afterwards. So those strategies are sort of available. Getting to Tristan, who would normally be in Bruce's RB as the full-time driver, but obviously unable to make tonight. So I hope you're well. Saying if it does rain, it'll be utter chaos. He's glad not to be at Monaco this time. And Poristek saying hards can easily go 15 to 18 laps, mediums are horrible. So there is potential there then that the medium hard strategy could work, because I think the problem is if you start on the hard tyre, yes, you're going to have the overcut, but then I think you'll lose quite a lot of time in doing that extension to everyone on the fresher tyres as we get prepared for the formation lap.
Yeah, no, the problem is it's just track position. You do somewhat potentially bring a tyre delta if you start on the hard and you'll have much fresher tyres than your rivals, but you are still doing a two-stopper as well, so how does that work out? It depends where you are on the track, but using the two sets of hards here is not necessarily a bad thing, especially on this game. I've noticed, Jordan, the hards do seem like a very good race tyre, more consistent than the mediums. Some tracks the mediums are fine, depending on which, of course, you know, C1, C2, what compounds we got. But no, the hards are fairly a good tyre every race weekend you go to.
Yeah, I think it's just that wear. I mean, we've seen the difference in the tyre wear in this game compared to say 24, 23. There's been obviously big changes in the way they wear and sort of how they wear. So I think a lot of people finding that they can also use the hards a little bit more and still trying to find the way to perfect the wear on the softer compounds. Although saying that, we do have a bit of a mixture of tyre strategies. Juliana Manu, Anthony Hunt, Mikey, Sir Spud and Bruce all going on the hard tyre. Lina Griesby going on the soft tyre at the start of this race. The remainder of the grid all on the medium.
Yeah, no, so big split on strategy, but importantly, Coke not taking that formation lap very easily, it must be said. Drivers were still getting out of the Nouvelle Chicane as he was coming out of Brasca, so he's taking it aggressive, of course, but maybe is that what's needed to keep those tyres nice and warmed up for this launch. But one soft runner, Lionel Griesby, so he's one to keep an eye out on this launch.
Fire unfortunately unable to get quite right in his parking, same as JMB, but as Bruce comes to line up at the back of the grid, we head to the front and we have the 5 red lights and we are racing for the crown jewel of F1. The question is who's got the best getaway, and it looks like Bear's going to go equal into Saint Devote with Coke. Side by side, a little bit of a tap, and I think Bear just about clipped the wall, and he's going to lose a place to Iron, who's had a great start up into second place for the Mercedes, up through Beau Rivage into Massenet for the first time, and the Casino Square. It looks like we've got through fairly unscathed, other than a few minor taps, although Coke has been given a 10-second penalty for gaining an advantage at Saint Devote on the start line. So interesting development there, and that's going to be served at the pit stop. There's a Williams, I think, on Matty Rudd without an end fence. That looks like Darrell already claiming a wall for himself to be joined in the Whiffins Wall organisation. He's also losing an end fence, but so it looks like we've got end fences missing, but generally speaking, in terms of keeping everyone running in the same direction, we've kind of got away with that one. As it looks like there's a move in the background. That is a madman on Lina Griesby, as Coke now picks up 3 seconds of time penalties for multiple warnings of corner cutting already. He's not even finished the first lap yet.
Yeah, no, I don't know how he's picked up that many penalties, but yeah, it got very sideways between Darrell and Matty Rudd. I'm surprised we are still running with all 20 drivers, but so far so good.
Up through into Saint Devote for the next time, and it looks like we've got Matty Rudd in the pits to change that front wing. Iron in second at the moment, Berra third, the Wolf in fourth. It's fair to say Iron's had a very good start here from fourth. I believe, if I remember correctly, he was fourth on the grid. So to get 2 places off the start line is an absolute it's almost like a jackpot here in Monaco to gain even one place, let alone two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Turning that fourth into a podium position now, that's an incredible launch. But this is going to be now a long game. Who decides to risk it and send the front wing into a corner? But so far, Coke is just keeping that gap around 2.1. But no, there is a battle though going on for second, third, and fourth. But Julian Emanu is that off-sitter in this top 10 stage. He's the only one on the hard for the Mercedes. So Mercedes going a split strategy here tonight.
I mean, not a bad idea considering, obviously, their position on track. Obviously, I think the biggest problem here is, even though the undercut isn't powerful around Monaco, it's still, we saw last night with Milo de Boas, O'Stephen out of this race at the exit of... Oh, and there's a Ferrari that's clipped him as well. I think that was Mikey. Luckily, Kate keeps his front wheels on. Possibly lots of front wing damage though. Yes, in fact he's lost a lot of front wing. Unfortunately colliding with the stationary O'Stephen. O'Stephen, I think, losing the rear end and hitting the inside wall and the exit of Anthony Notes. And I don't know what's happened here, but at the front, Juliana Manu has got the lead. Coke is around. Oh my word, Coke's about to pick up about 40 seconds worth of penalties here. He's trying to get going again, and we have a virtual safety car to try and get this going again. I'm not really sure what happened because I was having a look at Mikey. Daryl's picked up 10 seconds now for a severe collision. That's unfortunate for him. I'm going to guess that's because that's a hit under this virtual safety car, but Coke has gone from the lead of this race to 14th, and he currently has 33 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah, it's all gone wrong for him in the span of one lap really, but this does play beautifully into the hands of Mercedes. They are 1 and 2, as I say that, one of the Mercedes comes into the pits, so is that potentially trying to get rid of that one mandatory stop maybe? And a lot of our drivers are following him in.
We go back to green. Go back to green as everyone is in the pits. I think a few of these guys looking to just get a cheap pit stop out of this, but Iron's about to come out in a heap of traffic, and this is going to allow the likes of Juliana Manu, or big slide there from Lionel Griesby through Sandevot. Up Beau Rivage he goes. Yeah, Iron, I think a few people looking for some cheaper pit stops here, but the problem they've got now, they've got to get through the traffic, and I think this is going to allow the likes of Jack and Clips Kiri. Jack also has some damage on the front wing, but it's going to allow them the opportunity here to maybe try and get away, build a gap to Iron, and maybe overcut them.
Yeah, no, exactly. You might, what you think, save time by paying under that VSC, but you might lose it if you're stuck behind a slower driver. So it's a tough position to be in, but it might not work out too well. He did have damage, but he did not change the front wing, did Iron. So that's more just about a cheap pit stop for the Mercedes driver. But no, Juliana Manu is in a great position. He's 7.2 seconds and extending that gap to P2. So if he keeps this pace up, maybe he can have some amazing track position to come into for his first stop, because he's going to go long on these hards.
Yeah, absolutely, and 7.6 seconds, he can pretty much come in whenever he wants at this point, to a degree. Obviously, he's going to have to build the gap as Iron down the outside of JMB. JMB not really fighting that one, probably not a bad idea, just trying not to lose too much time.
His next driver up ahead of him is Coke as he's struggling to turn in. I wonder if there's some front wing damage on that Red Bull. There is severe damage. He's got a much better entry and exit, and he gets ahead nice way before the braking point, and he'll take that P9. So Iron is already somewhat showing some good pace and able to overtake, but maybe that's more on the behalf of Coke having that front wing damage. But he comes up to a soft tyre runner here. Lionel Griesby, he's made up quite a few places, but I think that's mainly a lot because of other people's misfortune. But does Iron have a better drive? Oh, he thought of it there, but Lionel Griesby moving a little bit there. Oh, and gets a tap, does Iron, from Coke. Luckily doesn't force him off, but Coke struggling to brake with that damage. But yeah, the gap is just increasing to 9 seconds nearly between Julian Amanu and Jack. This is incredible.
Yeah, I think part of the reason is Jack's front wing is broken as well, which I don't think is helping the Williams driver in terms of trying to do. Liner Greasy's just trying to go for a drift score, but looks at every single corner. The car is just not settling down. Coke finally comes into the bits. The question is, well, is the game going to hold him for 30 seconds or just the 10 seconds? Because he's got 3 lots of 10-second penalties to serve. I'm not quite sure how the game will interpret it in terms of... I think it's going to hold him for 30 seconds, isn't it?
Well, naturally you would think so, but he's just come out there. That did not look like a 30-second stop time to me.
When you say that, but the rest of the field are already coming out of Portier.
Yeah, he did, but he did have front wing damage as well. So I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. We'll see what he's got on his penalties. No, he has 23 seconds left, so it's an unfortunate one because you should be able to serve those penalties. Of course, not the 3-second front track limits, but the other remaining 10-second grouped penalties. But he's going to have to serve that at his next stop as we got a yellow flag. I think that's the Aston Martin of the Wolf. It is! Down at the Nouvelle Chicane, and the Wolf has dropped it, and he's got damage on his front wing on the right-hand side. So that doesn't look like he's clipped the inside wall there. That's a bit odd.
I wonder. I mean, he was trying to get past people on his fresher tyres. Has he just missed his braking point, collected someone, or has he maybe lost it on the exit, or has he... I wonder, has he actually caught the rear left on the barrier and then obviously hit the front right on the left-hand side, on the left-hand barrier, which would be not uncommon around the Nouvelle Chicane. If you just miss it with the front, you can clip it with the rear.
That is very possible. Sorry to just quickly barge in, but there is a big fight going on for P8 of the Red Bull of JMB. He's got a whole train of cars with Bruce, Sir Spud and Berra right behind, but Berra making an amazing move on the Alpine, and he is through into P11. So these whole train of cars, these are the things, if you're up in the top 5, top 6, and you need to stop, you need to make sure you clear this. A bit of a tap
from Berra to Sir Spud into the Nouvelle Chicane. Just about gets away with it then.
But this is the issue as a driver. You need to make sure you do not pit and come behind this, because this can get messy.
Down into Rascasse. Anthony knows. I do know Bruce does have quite a bit of front wing damage, I think, as well on his RB. Yeah, he does. He's missing a main plane, so he's doing a good job here of staying out. As Sir Spud tries to defend against Berra up through Rafage. He's doing a great job to make that Aston Martin very annoyingly wide here for Berra.
Keep an eye on Berra. This is where he made the move on the Alpine, but nothing goes through here. But he's going to hope that is one of the widest Aston Martins he can possibly get for Sir Spud. But Bruce is starting to somewhat struggle, but he's not falling too far behind JMB with that front wing damage.
Spud into the Nouvelle Chicane. Bruce just ahead of him. JMB just ahead of that, and at the moment this is going wrong for Berra because he's constantly losing time here. Iron up to 21.7 behind his teammate. He is 10.5 seconds behind Jack at the moment, but he's going to run into Madman soon. So that's where his troubles will sort of start again.
Yeah, he might get lucky though, because bear in mind those are 8-lap-old mediums on Madman, so by the time the Mercedes closes up he might actually come into pit. So that's what Iron will be hoping is the case, but you can see the gap up front, 11.7 from Julian Amano to Jack, but he's keeping Klipskiri well behind despite that front wing on the Williams. As we have this whole train of cars coming into Portia. They're still staying with this train, and in fact that's allowed Matty Rudd to get on the back of this now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps going on for longer that Hulkenberger may join in to this, but no moves going into the Nouvelle Chicane. I'm surprised the fact that Bruce still has good enough pace to stay ahead and not get pressurized by the Aston Martin, but I do think there's a lot of people running some damage on that front wing, whether it's a slight end plate or more of the actual aero parts. But that's Clips Theory comes into the pits, he gets off those medium tyres and he gets onto a fresh set of hards.
Yeah, so Clips, where's he going to come out? That's the big question. He's going to come out behind Matty Rudd, isn't he? Yes, he is. So down in 13th for Clips Curie. See, Matty Rudd had to make that early pit stop for damage, so he's trying to make a bit of a recovery drive. So not ideal for him, but Darrell now into the pits. He went on to a set of soft tyres for a little bit, but has decided he's burnt through those already. So making his second stop onto hard tyres. 29 laps. Probably, I think he's going to be making a third pit stop in this race.
Yeah, no, that's a long way to go. So probably a 3-stopper race going in here. But no, this train now that Clips Curie has pitted, he's now already on the back of. So the question is, what do you do if you're in Clips Curie's position now? You'll surely try and make an overtake if you've got that tyre advantage, but if there's no room, there's not a whole lot he can do. He is on the hards as well, so he is going to go longer.
Well, and you look at Berra, he's been stuck behind Sir Spud. And obviously, exactly. it's no sort of disrespect to Sir Spud, but he isn't he isn't really on Berra's pace, not in particularly. As Iron does get past Madman.
Yeah, J&B actually pits. He was a little bit up ahead in the battle, but he wasn't necessarily too much ahead. But Clips Curie and Matty Rudd having a little bit of contact going into Saint-Devote. They're side by side, but he backs out into Beau Rivage and has to spend more time behind that Williams. He's really trying to get through this field. He might have an opportunity here, but he has to back out. This is going to be frustrating for Clips Curie. He knows he's got more pace. He knows he's got the fresh tyres, but he just can't get through.
Yeah, and this is sort of down the curse of Monaco at this point. Is it's quite an easy track to defend at. You have to make a mistake or just have that little traction out of a corner in order to lose a position.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why sometimes actually staying out longer, getting that tyre delta is so important, because you need that offset, you need that extra bit of pace towards the end if it will get you the place. As Madman comes into the pits, and you'll get off those set of mediums as Clips Curie goes into the back of Matty Rudd into Raskas. Somehow the end plate not gone there, but he's going to try again now going into Saint-Devote. He's closing, but it's not enough. Remember, they do still have DRS, whether it's effective to pass, but it does become somewhat of a DRS train through into turn 1.
Yep, Beau Rivage they go once again. Matty Rudd fending off Clips Curie for now. And the big question I have here is, and obviously I used to be teammates with Bruce for a long time in IRL. I mean, we did take a few sort of constructors crowns together, but we were sort of the kings of the weird strategy and making weird strategy calls. I wonder, I mean, he can't make it on a 2-stop, but I do wonder what his plan is going to be, whether he's going to try and go for like a hard medium and have so much grip at the end that overtaking does become easier.
Yeah, at this point you might have to try it. You've got to try something different here, because at the moment it's just single file through each that goes down.
And it is a big train behind Bruce as well. I must admit, that train keeps growing as Hulkenberger is closing in on them. Ira comes into the pits.
As well, Hulkenberger already on the back end. DJ Madman is closing quickly behind, and he just made a pit stop. But crucially, Iron just made an overtake on the McLaren of Anthony Hutt, and he's back into the top 3 on the podium. So he's making good pace in that Mercedes. He does have that damage still from early on, but he's making use of it very well.
I mean, what this is going to do with Bruce doing this, and remember, Bruce is a reserve driver. He's not driving for RB, he is literally driving for himself in this race. So he's not going to be willing to necessarily give up positions. Obviously, he will drive fairly, but he doesn't have to consign. He's not doing this to help Clips in reality. He's just doing it because he wants to come. He wants to have a race, and what he is doing now is allowing the potential for Jack to have a nice slot to come into pit, because there's about 18 seconds now between Jack and Bruce, and that gap is probably still growing.
Yeah, exactly. It's somewhat of a Fernando Alonso train Bruce is creating here, despite being a white V-carb. But no, it definitely gives options for Jack and Julian Emmanuel as well. He's created that gap himself. 16.5 seconds is the lead, so he'll sit nicely. But here we go, another lap goes, and the drivers just cannot get through. And Madman is closing in quite fast. He's got Ira as well, right on the back of him actually. Ira just making that pit stop, so much fresher tyres on him, but it's not enough to get through. Oh, so Spud actually and Berra going side by side out of Casino, and they're still going side by side. Can Sir Spud stay ahead? And he still stays ahead. They were battling it hard out through there, but it's just not enough. You can see the frustration in Berra. He's trying to do what he can, but that Aston Martin is not letting anyone through. And at the front of this train is still Bruce holding everyone up here, but you might see Berra actually have a look on the Aston Martin here through the Nouvelle Chicane. Does he have enough? He doesn't. He doesn't have the braking performance of those hard tyres, and he'll just have to sit back once again as Ira gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting.
I think that's because he's corner cut the Nouvelle Chicane and gone past Madman, and the game probably just went, you've done that on purpose, here's 10 seconds for overtaking and gaining advantage. A bit like, actually it's a little bit like Coke, first corner of the race. He was just a bit too over the curb when he tried to re-overtake Iron, I think it was at the start, or Berra, and he ended up getting a 10-second penalty for overtaking off circuit and effectively gaining an advantage. As Bruce continues to conduct this train all the way through Monaco. Is a bit of a wheel spin moment there for Berra as he's trying to find a gap past the Aston Martin, but still the door just not opening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so annoying as a driver, and I can say this, when you know you've got more pure pace, but you just cannot find a way past. And it's just a single file, lap after lap, even though you know you've got it within you to get that move done, but nothing going as far. But it seems that Sir Spud, somewhat from having to defend off Berra, he's somewhat turned into the attacker here now. And having a look on the V-carb of Bruce, of course Bruce, like you did mention, is a reserve, so he's not fighting for the team, he's fighting for himself, so he's not going to let anyone through. He's going to have to try and put up a fight with Sir Spud.
Yeah, and it wasn't that many seasons ago, as Coke picks up another 3-second time penalty. It wasn't that many seasons ago that Bruce ended up winning a race around Monaco in either, I think it was a Tier 3 race. By the fact that he managed to get out in front. He had quite old tyres and I think a bit of damage, but he just kept the car in the middle of the road. No one could find a gap, and he ended up winning that race, even though he didn't really have the quickest outright pace. So he's got a lot of experience of doing what he's doing right now here at Monaco.
Absolutely, and if that's what you've got to do, then go ahead.
And look, now you got Madman, you got Hulkenberger, Madman, Ira is now about to join the back of this pack. In fact, Madman and Hulkenberger, Madman down the inside of Portier, collision through Portier. And Madman in the wall, Hulkenberger alongside, there's a Red Bull, got to get through, nice and clean from JMB. But you kind of felt Hulkenberg kind of lost the right to that corner a little bit, but he tried to hang it around the outside.
Yeah,
oh, big slide from JMB.
Oh, yeah,
Coke, sorry, as the Wolf is now getting all tangled up in this.
But no, Sir Spud having a look at Rascash on Bruce. But as you mentioned, we saw that, was it the likes of Ira's Anthony Hunt and Pitts? This is the problem now for Anthony Hunt, though. This train is growing as now side by side between Matty Rudd and Clips Cleary, and again, Matty Rudd has the better drive, but now actually does have a much better drive than Matty Rudd out of Sandevot, and he gets through and ahead of the Williams. But going back to that IRA where he cut the corner and got a 10-second penalty, if it means you somewhat get through and ahead, so, as awful as it may sound, sometimes it's worth taking that penalty. But if you're going to lose more than that 10 seconds, then it somewhat is not a bad option. Of course, we don't like to see drivers have to resort to cutting corners to get ahead, but you know, it's a possibility. As Bruce still leads. Oh, Bruce goes really deep on the brakes. Doesn't get a penalty. Luckily, he will get a warning surely from that. Bruce not having much braking performance, so are those hard tyres starting to go off? 16 laps they've done, and of course he does have that damage on the right hand side. As you see the Aston Martin sliding out there. Berra again trying to find a way through, just nothing can happen. But as I was saying, that's a pit stop, that's Ira into the pits. This is the problem for the drivers that ping. If you're not whether in the top 3, you're going to come out behind this fight, and no one has seen no way past anyone else. So it's almost damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you pit, you come behind, but if you stay out, will you have enough to pull a gap to come out in front of these drivers later on?
Yeah, it's going to make it interesting, actually, because I think earlier Bruce was around 16 seconds behind Jack. He's now only about 14 and a bit, so that gap's closed. Obviously, the only sort of upside here for Jack and for Jack is that obviously the likes of Bruce, Spud, they still have. Well, I say they still have to come to the bits. They've only done 17 laps on those hards, so they've already done a first pit stop. I mean, this is going to get messy, and here comes Jack now. I mean, very impressive that he's done 17 laps on those mediums, but he's still going to have to make 2 stops. So, what do you do here? Do you do your hard stint now, or do you go on another set of mediums?
That's one important thing, but the problem is for Jack, he's getting a front wing. It's tight between this group. He's going to come out behind this whole gaggle of cars, and he does. So
he's going to be worse than that. He's going to be behind Anthony Hunt.
Wow. So, ooh, who's that? That's Anthony Hunt taking a 3-second penalty. But we didn't even notice Jordan. Joey Animanu came into the pit stop, and he's still 18 seconds ahead of Iron, who will need to make his stop soon as well. So that's incredible, the lead that Joey Animanu has. Track position really key around here.
Yeah, I think Joey Animanu now, he just has to settle in and just keep driving at this point, because he's got his teammate behind him. Bruce is in third. I would say Bruce, I think, only has to make one more stop. No, Bruce hasn't stopped. So, okay, yeah, okay. They're so far behind. Obviously, Joey Manu has already started the next lap, which is why they're a lap behind the completion rate at the moment. So as Bruce comes up to the line, he'd have done 19 laps.
The thing is, what does Bruce do here if he still needs to make 2 stops? Because if he pits here, he's holding everybody up. So could this be... Oh, as I said, he goes into the barrier, and that's caused a bit of chaos. Sir Spud gets through in the head, and now the likes of the Alpino J-Race having a look on Berra, but doesn't get through. But has that caused more damage on the RB? I wouldn't be surprised, and it has caused more on that front wing. Now Berra will look to try and have a run potentially down. He does look for it. It's a bit side by side, squeezes the V-cab, and he gets that place. And now the Alpine has a look through the Lewis hairpin, and he will get somewhat through, and he does get through.
Yeah, I think as Darryl just picked... Oh, Darryl's retired from this race, unfortunately, in the pits. I did wonder, because he just picked up 10 seconds of time penalty, but I think Bruce now maybe going to probably consider coming into the pits, because he will have very little turning now in that RB. He's done his absolute best with it, but it's probably now time to get a new front wing, because otherwise he's going to have a high chance of ripping a wheel off that car.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The tyres will be at the end of their life, crying for help. But look at this train. Bruce has done an incredible job to make a train, going all the way to the Red Bull. Is that the Red Bull of JMB? No, that's even Anthony Hunt at the back of this. So he's done his best at holding everyone up. But the thing is, anything can happen here. A safety car which can completely change the race. Is that the front wing going off? Up Bourrivage. So did someone maybe make contact?
Coke is missing a main plane of his front wing. It could be that. Not Coke, sorry, Mad. Did I say Mad? I don't know. It's just mental, this race. Madman losing a piece of his main plane, so that could be what's come off. But this shake-up now, I mean, Julian Amanu has 25.5 seconds on Iron, because he's now on those fresh medium tyres. Iron has 16.5 to Berra, in which Berra's not going to be too pleased right now, but that's the game. Unfortunately, he got caught up in your typical. Oh, he clips the wall through Tabac. Got to be careful, because Tabac is a very infamous place for claiming wheels.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, the thing is, Julian Amanu has got somewhat everything covered. As long as he keeps it on the track here, the last thing he'll be wanting is a safety car, but a VSC or whatever.
Oh, and the Wolf. The Wolf has just made a move online of Griesby down into the Nouvelle Chicane. A lovely move from the Aston Martin. His Madman comes into the pits to change that front wing.
That's very tight for the Alpine of Hulkenberg. He's having a look on the Ferrari of Line of Griesby and just can't get through, but now he's got Bruce right behind him on fresher and medium tyres as well, compared to the hards of Hulkenberger. So he's sniffing for that 14th place. But yeah, single file as we go.
Now 13th with the pit stop of Madman.
Right, so yeah, no, Bruce did everything he could in that. He can't really fault him for that.
Something else we've missed as well. Jack has made his second pit stop already.
Okay, so that's the thing. A lot of drivers still need to make that second stop. In fact, the top 9 still remain to do the entire stop, of course, with the exception of Sir Spud. The Wolf doing 3 stops actually as well, so we haven't noticed that. He's in 12th with 3 stops, so whether that's the fastest way around here from tonight's showing of these trains, maybe, but he's still got quite a bit to go. And I'm surprised, Jordan. We know it's one of the shortest tracks on the calendar, but going lap after lap after lap, we are only on lap 23 out of 39. Still have a good chunk to go.
Yeah, I mean, it was always one of those things when we used to drive. When I used to drive it, it's always like you go through and you're like, oh, I must be close to the end. You look up and you're only halfway through, and you're like, I still got another 20 laps to drive at this place yet. It takes its toll as Hulkenberger under pressure from Bruce. Bruce, unfortunately, picking up 3 seconds for pretty much trying to take avoiding action on Hulkenberger to make sure he didn't hit him. Obviously, Bruce, even though he does want to try and get points himself, he doesn't want to take anyone out in the process, being a reserve. And Jack and Madman benefit from that exchange. Anthony Hunt is on the back of Matty Rudd for 6th place. With the top 9 still to make another pit stop, and also with Coke, he will take another 10-second penalty along with his pit stop.
Yeah, so again, somewhat of a train still filing behind, but I don't remember what the gap was necessarily between Iron and Berra, but Berra, I do believe, is somewhat gaining on the Mercedes. As who's that into Matty Rudd, yes. So he's serving that second and hopefully final stop for him. The thing is, Berra is somewhat gaining. He's got 12.5 seconds to go, but for the likes of Iron, when do you stop? Because you don't want to be behind this train of cars. So you're going to have to wait until the others behind you make these pit stops. Julian Manu into the pits. So he's making that second stop.
Yeah, I think he's doing this just because he's got the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, he's basically taking this as a let's not risk anything now. Let's not overdo these mediums, and let's put a set of hards on
I mean, it
to
wouldn't
go to the
surprise
end.
me with Juliana Manu. I mean, who's got fastest lap? I mean, Juliana Manu's got fastest lap right now. It would not surprise me if this goes green all the way to the end. That Juliana Manu, if he can find a nice bit of space on the track, if he doesn't come back in for a set of soft tyres right at the end, just to confirm getting fastest lap and maximum points from tonight, as I think Sir Spud just got past JMB Cyril.
No, 100%. He's got the potential to do that. He's 16.5 seconds clear of his teammate, who also needs to make his stop, his second and final stop. So he has everything in his hands to do so. Does Julian Manu, and that's how important the track position and clean air is around the track like Monaco. It just is so critical, and a lot of that's come from pure pace from Julian Manu. So he's done everything right so far here tonight. But I think there's a Red Bull going into the wall there, and that's Coke.
Coke, I think he hit the wall. Sander Vot allowed Sir Spud through, got wing damage, and that probably just enabled him to hit the wall, then up into Massenate. It's just going from bad to worse for Coke, but the good thing tonight is he does have his teammate, which in an ideal fashion he probably wants to let through. We've got a yellow flag for Mikey.
That's Mikey.
The exit of the New Bell chicane, so he's clipped the inside. Oh, and now Mikey's been disqualified. It's the only thing I do not like about the F1 25 game, or just generally the F1 games in terms of its penalty system. Mikey has done that to get in a safe place and turn the car around, and the game goes, you're driving the wrong way, here's a disqualification.
It's honestly shameful, because he's doing everything he must do, everything he should do as well. So there's nothing wrong with what Mikey's just done there, and he gets punished for it. As while that was happening, Iron actually came into the pits. He's in P5 now, so he might serve a bit of pain through this next couple of laps behind the likes of J. Ray Bay and Clips Cleary, but they also need to make their second stop. But it's the same thing as well that goes with the yellow flags in qualifying. You know, if a driver's just moving out of the way, it pops up as yellow, and it just becomes a little bit concerning for you as a driver and of course as a commentator to see those yellow flags popping up. So I just wish these things could get sorted, but unfortunately here we are, another Formula 1 game, and these things still persist.
Yeah, big shame there for Mikey. But them's are the brakes, as they say. So Spud on the back of Ira. Now Spud on a set of medium tyres. He's got one more stop to make. So obviously a lot of people behind. Bruce still has another stop to make as Spud. That is what you call working as a team.
I was just about to say, he had his teammate right behind him and did it in the best way possible. He's not lost too much time. He's still in the back of this, as in how you could see how the Wolf's got so much better entry speed than the McLaren. And he's going to try up Bill Ravage, but it's not enough. Oh, there's a little bit of contact just through there as they come out of Casino. Can he get the drive now through on the McLaren? He's going to actually go around the outside and try and give it a try through there. And it's just not enough. Ira placing the car perfectly and not allowing that Aston Martin. But I was surprised the Aston Martin did have that opportunity to go around the outside there. I think maybe that caught Ira out of surprise. But there you can see the traction out of Portier. The Wolf on to that fresher tyre, so not that much more. But you could just see how much more confidence he's got. But he doesn't have enough confidence to throw it into the Nouvelle Chicane. But no, that's good teamwork from the Aston Martin duo, because that really has somewhat spiced it up for Ira, because Ira is now going to really have to try and defend this hard against the Wolf.
Yeah, as J. Bay now comes into the pits. Releases Iron, and Iron only 4 seconds away from there. The two Mercedes, I mean, granted, collision between the Wolf and Ira going into Sander Vot. The Wolf just braking later than Ira and going into the back of him as Jack now up into 7th place for the Williams. He's obviously Jack no longer doesn't have to pit again, remember. Every position he makes now, he can keep. So Jack definitely one to keep an eye on as the final pit cycle goes around.
Yeah, so that's clear for him, so he knows each position he makes here is his to stay, but you could just see how much more aggression the Wolf has got. Oh, he has a little bit of a slide out of Portier, but he is all over Ira throughout the lap. He's got so much more pace in that Aston Martin, but he's going to just have to try and somewhat force Ira into a mistake here, because otherwise I don't know how much more pace he's got to truly make a proper on-track overtake.
Meanwhile, J-Ray Bay, after that pit stop, he's all over the back of Matty Rudd. Just to check, yet Matty Rudd does not have to pit anymore again either. So, this is for position. Berra comes into the pits. Where is he going to filter out here?
This is important as well because he's got Clips Carey soon behind. Actually, he's changing the front wing is Berra, so that's going to put him further behind then.
So the two Williams,
J-Ray Bay did as well.
The two Williams are going to go through, as is J-Ray Bay. Clips Carey's going to get through. The McLaren of Anthony Hunt will also make out through, and I think he's good to go to the end, although those mediums I would question whether they will make the end, but although it depends how he treats them.
Yeah, no, the medium should get to the end. You know, you've got 10 laps roughly to go, so as long as he treats them nicely, not too hard, it should be okay. As Cote gets the fastest lap, 13.3. for the Red Bull driver, but the Williams pair are in a very good position here. They do have some cars behind them, but they're on for a good point scoring position tonight if they keep it the way it's going so far. But you can just see now J-Ray going much better traction out of Portier. He's got the fresher tyres as well, but the Williams are going to try and hopefully help each other out here, try and make a brick wall, not let anyone else through. So that's their job for tonight, because this is now purely on track, because everyone's pretty much made the two stop so far, actually, besides Bruce and Sir Spud.
Yeah, as we've got a yellow flag, it's the Wolf. The Wolf is round on the main straight here on the street to Monaco. Jack goes up into 5th place. Matty Rudd gets through. There goes J-Ray Bay. Clips Carey, Anthony Hunt. Berra will not, and that's going to frustrate Berra because you can guarantee Wolf will now try and drag that car to the end, and once again Berra's behind an Aston Martin with a little bit of damage that won't get out of his way. Well, as I say that, he goes into the wall and rips the whole front wing off instead.
It's not gone the way of the Wolf these last couple of races, whether that's in qualifying.
We've also got a yellow flag. As Madman has ended up in the wall at Rascasse. Pit
stop imminent for the Haas. I was scared for a second that was Darrell, because obviously the other Haas driver out, but no, luckily he's right next to the pit lane so he can come in. But following that conversation about Julian Emmanuel, he's 44 seconds clear of his teammate, so I would not be surprised to see a pit stop coming for him on the last few laps for the fastest lap. Then the closest battle at the moment looks to be between Ira and Sir Spud now. So one Aston Martin cleared. Don't know exactly what happened, but one of them cleared. And now it's Sir Spud on the back. But Spud needs to make another stop before the end of this race.
Yeah, and unfortunately the Wolf has come into the pits and retired the car. So big shame for him and the Aston Martin team. It was just one of those races. Monaco is one of those races. It will either go very well or very wrong, and unfortunately tonight it was the wrong side for the Wolf.
Yeah, no, it doesn't go his way. You'll have these, of course, as a driver, but in Monaco especially. But yeah, he's still in this championship fight for sure. But he will lose a whole chunk of points, especially to the Mercedes duo, who are currently leading this 1-2 as Anthony Hunt gets such a better drive out of Portier on Clips Carey, but again cannot get through. Nobody really trying an overtake into the Nouvelle Chicane, just not enough drive and distance out of Portier to try and get anywhere close enough to send it into the Nouvelle Chicane.
And this train, I mean, there's 7 laps left. This train is at peril of being lapped by Julian Emmanuel.
Yeah, no, so That's the thing. They're going to have to get out of the way, but they're all fighting each other. Now, hopefully, I don't know if we have the game setting to ghosted with the lap cars. I believe we would. I believe that's a standard. Actually, J-Ray gets a much better exit now than Matty Rudd out of Sandoval, but it's not enough. The Williams fair. Oh, as J-Ray goes into the back of Matty Rudd, gives him a shove, and he gives him another shove. And that completely puts Matty Rudd behind us. Matty Rudd tries to fight back on J-Ray Bay, and he does get through in the head. Oh, and the Alpine hits the wall. This is going to cause a little bit of contact between everyone. Oh, and we have somewhat of a bus stop somewhat in the Lewis hairpin as J-Ray Bay and Berra getting caught out by that, getting a little bit messy there. Was that the Alpine and Berra?
Yeah, J-Ray Bay, I think, just planted the Sauber into the inside wall.
So this is as well. Oh, as we have a retirement. Oh, that's actually J-Ray Bay. He's clipped the inside. Now, is this going to cause a safety car or a VSC? It's been there for a while now, so maybe not. Surspud decides to pit regardless, and we are green. So, the change of events from one lap to another. Anything can happen around the streets of Monaco here tonight. So Spud gets out though, makes his final stop, and goes onto the mediums for the last 5 laps of this race, and he will come out in P9 behind Berra. But I think Berra does have a bit of front wing damage, and he does actually have a lot there on the right hand side. You can see how much he's dragging out. Why is this a yellow flag? Is that Bruce? Oh, there's contact between the V-Carb and the Red Bull into Sandoval, and that's Coke and Bruce. His front wings completely on the racing line as Bruce gets
we have a safety car
penalty. And we have a safe. Oh my god, this is completely transformed. Now, if you're Julian Manu, you are not wanting this, but it does allow him to somewhat come into the pits as that's his teammate. He stays out. Iron stays out, but he can stay out because, of course, the safety car will wait for the leader. These last few laps, it has gotten quite messy. I can't lie, Jordan.
Yeah, I think near the end, obviously, people trying to make moves, trying to get those final sort of positions available to them. And just maybe a few too many daring moves. Although I must admit, anyone that is behind Julian Manu on the road, they are going to want to stay out if Julian Manu comes in the pits for a set of soft tyres, which I think he will do. There he goes. Everyone behind him, no, they should not be pitting. I mean, Berra, I don't understand why he's pitting. He's a lap down. Everyone who doesn't pit, same as Hulkenberger now, they're going to stay behind him because there's no functionality of anyone behind the leader unlapping themselves.
Yeah, exactly. What should be done is clear the safety car, let Julian Manu get to that safety car, but of course you'll be ahead of that, so you won't essentially take that. You won't essentially be lapped and then take the stop once you can. As Coke retires, I think that was on pit lane retirement. It was. So we're down to 14 here. We're lap 35 at 39. We will possibly have a 3-lap sprint to the end here, Jordan. I'm not going to lie. This is going to get very, very, I wouldn't say spicy, but potentially quite chaotic. Will this finale, I'll say.
And Lionel Griesby has beaten JMB after JMB's pit stop, but JMB hasn't changed his front wing, which looks very, very broken. I mean, he has got a big enough gap that he will be able to come in and change it on this time around. The other question as well, actually, Iron comes into the pits. Is he going to get out ahead of Ira and Jack? I think he will, just about. That was a bit of a risky pit stop from Iron, but it's worked out. So we are under safety car.
So safety car deployed. But one thing I will say is quite interesting is the Mercedes pair have split, and more importantly, we've got around 4 to 3 laps of racing action probably to come. Iron is on the softs, Julian and Manu's on the mediums. So could that cause for maybe I'm sure they're not going to give it too much of a scrap and throw this away, but
well, they're not going to be able to. I think the safety car could actually come in before everyone catches up the train. It is known to do that. I mean, they're going through Casino Square. Iron's going through Tabac. He's on the other side of the circuit.
yeah, that's the thing. As well, though, when Iron gets to the back, the problem is if you look on board on Julian and Manu, that rear, he's got the Alpine, which I believe will be Hulkenberger. Is that
yeah, because J-Ray Bay's out.
Yeah, so that's Hulkenberger following Berra and line of Grisby. So he has 3 lap cars behind him. So this is the problem. There'll be someone in between these.
And not to mention, he'll also get JMB and Bruce behind him as well if they catch up.
Yeah,
as lap
exactly.
cars.
This is the problem. We don't have that functionality, of course, to clear these lap runners. This is the issue. But I think we will have another lap of safety car. But I think that'll be pretty much the last lap because, of course, the game is coded to bring the safety car with no more than 2 laps. I think minimum is 2 laps.
I'm not quite sure exactly how many laps it's coded for. I think definitely at least 1, obviously, but yeah, I think the other problem as well is I think once the safety car crosses the line to start the next lap, anyone who is far behind then gets a delta. If I remember correctly, they suddenly get a delta that they then have to adhere to. I don't think it's necessary that they will get to go around at full pace.
To be honest, I've not necessarily had that. You do get your throttle limited when the safety car is announced to come in.
Yeah, you can see Iron here. He's having to back off quite a lot. He's backing off through the swimming pool complex.
And he's actually not really gained. If you look at where he is on the track compared to Julian and Manu, he's still 36 seconds at.
You see, he's having to limit.
Yeah.
And at this point, he should be able to start going again.
Right, well, he'll try. Yeah, no, you can see he's not pulling everything he's got. So he's going to get limited by this. What it does mean, though, is Iron will get the shot of clean air if it stays like this when we restart. He'll get clean air, so he can potentially steal the fastest lap from Julian and Manu in this last 2 laps.
Yeah, there is that potential. Obviously, Jack is going to look to try and get past Ira, but he's also got Anthony Hunt behind on fresher tyres. And there we go, safety car in this lap.
Well, you couldn't spicy this up anymore.
I mean, as much as I want to watch Jolien and Manu here, I kind of want to go to the battle for 3rd place because we have Ira, Jack, Anthony Hunt, Clips Kiri, Matty Rudd, Sir Spud, all in this train here. And Jolien and Manu has gone. You got Hulkenberger and Barrow, which is quite an interesting fight into Sandoval, but no move being offered there between the two. Back at the front though, and the only problem here for Jack is he can be right up the chuff of like, I think he's been tagged. I don't know if he just got tagged, and unfortunately just rejoined into the side of Clips.
Completely going into the back of Jack. Says, as Matty Rudd has a little bit of contact with Clips Kiri, but no, Anthony Hunt did not put enough braking performance in that McLaren and completely pushing Jack off the track. But most importantly though for Jolien and Manu, he's clear and ahead of any threat behind him, but there is obviously the lapped cars of Hulkenberg and Barrett still fighting for position. There's fights for position everywhere you look.
And everyone bulks up as Madman picks up 10 seconds of penalties for ignoring blue flags. I'm trying to work out who he's... is this train he was in front of as he lets them all through. But that changes things because I think Jack had a good good chance there of getting that third place, and unfortunately that tag into Anthony Notes has kind of killed that one off. Julian Amanu still leading the way by 14.4 seconds. He's on the penultimate lap. Madman has retired from this session. I don't know if he's had a bit of... I think he had a bit of a problem at the Nouvelle Chicane, but... bit of a shame for him. But Hulkenberger does have Berra just behind him. This for the 9th place and 4 championship points, which right now could seem very important after this result from the Mercedes. You're going to have to get as many points as you can and then start gaining them back as we head into the latter part of the season.
Every point counts. Every single point counts, but Berra is just having to stay behind. But bear in mind they are laps, so this is the final lap for them. But
yeah,
most importantly,
Julian and Manu, coming through Raskas for the final time into Anthony Nodes. And it is gonna be Julian Amanu who comes home to win the Monaco Grand Prix, takes fastest lap as well for good measure. Hulkenberger and Berra come through in 9th and 10th. We got IRC Bruce has somehow leapt up into 11th place. He's not going to get to keep it though. He will get 12th and a point from this race as Lionel Griesby finishes 11th. Ira there coming through in 2nd place to complete a Mercedes 1-2. Ira up to the line. He will claim 3rd on the road. But it's not going to be that way. It's going to be Matty Rudd who takes a podium. And we can't get through everyone quick enough because they're all in a train after that very late safety car.
Yeah, no, the reason for that, it was at the end of the final corner. Lionel Griesby had contact with JMB, so that allowed him to get through. That's how it happened. But no, what a tough race to follow everyone there. But a lot of chaos, a lot of collisions. But I'm sure the Mercedes pairing will absolutely be thrilled for that result.
Yes, they're very much going to be very happy with that, for sure. I think though the stewards could be a little bit on the busy side after tonight's race, though. We shall find out exactly what's going to proceed after tonight's race. Aaron, do you want to take us through, and I must stress this very much for everyone at home, the provisional results of the Monaco Grand Prix here for Tier 2?
Yeah, provisional results for tonight. So the Mercedes lock out what is the perfect result for them. 1-2 for Julian Amanu and Iron. Matty Rudd gets that podium, followed by Clips Kiri and Jack for P5. The McLaren of Anthony Hunt, followed by Sir Spud in P7 with Ira, Hulkenberger and Berra, with Lion of Griesby and Bruce for the final points. And then JMB follows for the final class finisher. DJ Madman, Coke, J Ray Bay, the Wolf, Daryl, O Stephen and Mikey are your non-finishers of tonight. But it is to be mentioned as well, the Williams did score very well. So those are important points that they will be picking up tonight for sure.
Yeah, good points for them. They are a quick squad, is the Williams. Just not necessarily always the luckiest between those two. I think Jack probably should have won a driver's title in the past few seasons here in IRL, but always the luck never really on his side. But, I mean, how do you sum up that race? I mean, there's not enough words to sum this up.
Well, yeah, the thing is, you had a bit of everything, didn't you? You had chaos, you had a few good overtakes in terms of wherever you could find a good overtake. No, the thing is, that was... I can't disagree on your words of chaotic before the race, but I'm sure the drivers will be happier, though, to go off Monaco and prepare for the next race, which I believe is Interlagos, if I'm not mistaken.
It is one of my favourite circuits in F1.
Right, so one of the greats as well. So what a track to to drive on, of course. But yeah, no, the dynamic will somewhat completely change from the streets of Monaco. And yeah, no, Interlagos, don't get me wrong, in Monaco you need confidence definitely, but you also need that in Brazil. The car coming down into the turn 1 and 2, then you need that car to bite on the front end, have some aggression. But it's an amazing track, great overtakes we've seen there in the past, and just great action in general. So no, definitely looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think I've run out of words for tonight. I mean, we've said so much and tried to keep up with everything. Yeah, Stuart's going to be busy, I think, tomorrow. That's going to be a thing for any drivers watching. Obviously, Stuart's office opening up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. They will be very happy to receive all of your incidents, I'm sure. But as you say, IRL, next week Interlagos, and then we have a break week after, so IRL's version of a summer break after Interlagos, which is, I think, after this race is going to be needed probably more now than in a couple of weeks' time, but we'll find out how Interlagos goes. And yeah, I mean, obviously you'll be racing next week on Monday for Tier 1, and I know for a fact Jack is back. I've said it the last few weeks, but Jack is actually back next week commentating for Tier 1. I believe he should be joined by Mikey next week as well. So your official commentary team for Tier 1 back for next week at Interlagos on Monday from 8 p.m. And as always, myself and ARL giving his expert driving opinions after driving it the day before. We'll be here for Tier 2 on Tuesday as we progress to the halfway point of Season 21. And it's, yeah, I mean, that was chaos. Interlagos, I think a much better circuit, should produce some fantastic racing. For myself and ARL, thank you for watching tonight. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do give it a like, give the IRL YouTube a follow, and click the notification icon to get your notifications, because Season 21 live and commentated on all season long, all live. You don't want to miss it. I mean, the season really has only just begun, and lots of racing to come for the championship. But for myself and ARL, thank you for watching, and we hope you have a good rest of your evening and a good rest of your week. Until next week, goodbye.